Short-termism is a fascinating thing because literally people have been talking about what a problem it is, what a Scrooge on American businesses since the time I started covering business. It was definitely a factor in Enron's collapse. If Enron hadn't cared so much about meeting short-term quarterly earnings, they actually had some businesses that could have been transformative. Enron Broadband was Netflix ahead of its time. But because Enron felt the need to show investors these steadily improving quarterly earnings, they engaged in all these financial manipulations to make the short-term results look better than they actually were. And you can see just the full destructiveness of that right there. And it's true in so many businesses. And you have leaders like Warren Buffett and Jamie Dimon coming out and trying to emphasize how important it is not to be short-term, and yet nothing changes. And I think the problem is we're increasingly in a society where short-termism is what matters. So even investment managers, their holding periods for stocks have gone from, I think, 7 years down to less than a year. I think it's the shortest now that it's been since the run-up to the Great Crash and the Great Depression, which is really frightening. But those very same investment managers are scored on their own short-term performance. So of course they turn around and pressure companies for short-term performance. So it is just so baked into every aspect of the system that it's really hard to fix. And I think we're going in the wrong direction, despite all the talk and all the focus on it. I think there are some businesses that successfully counteract it. I think Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway does because he's Warren Buffett. I think the chicken and the egg question is that once you've earned the respect of investors and the respect of the market, you have more leeway than you would otherwise. But how do you earn the respect of the market and investors without showing them that you can deliver? The only person who I think has really been able to get that leeway from investors, and it's an interesting question, why, is Jeff Bezos at Amazon, because he's had many, many years where Amazon didn't produce a profit, and yet he was able to maintain investors' belief in the company. And he's thus far, I don't know if you would say used it for good. I don't know if you would say Amazon is a force for good, but he has used it to build an increasingly sustainable business. There are these amazing stories of business done well, right? If you think back to the glory days of the pharmaceutical business and how different our world would be today if it hadn't been for great medicines that have been invented. You think of products that have changed people's lives. You think of the way in which a successful company not only offers products and services that improve people's lives, but offers people a means to make a living and literally makes a community. What I worry is that I do worry that a lot of that is fraying today, not just under the pressures of short-termism, but I guess part of the pressure of short-termism is the pressure to just cut costs and cut jobs, and that's the opposite of what you would want to see a business that is part of a community doing. So I do worry that some of that is fraying, but I think you can look at countless examples of how business done right has actually made the world a better place.